Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games. Today we're going to do a review of a relatively obscure, not well-known Kickstarter-based game that I was gifted by my good friend Dave Hassel. And I was excited to get into this game and figure out what it's made of and see if that gift was the gift that kept on giving. The game? Sabres and Smoke, the War of 1812. Was excited for two reasons. One, there just aren't that many games out there that cover the War of 1812. Well, there's war games, I'm sure, that I'm not aware of and such. But this is one that's a little bit more mainline. And so, why don't we just dive in and take a look at the components? Take a look. First we have three map sections, two of which I've placed together here to form the first scenario, which we will be doing a run-through of. There are three different ones. Two are just plain grass. One has the beach, or the ocean area. We have a deck of battle cards that are used to kind of mix things up a bit. We have these tiles here that have different terrain types that we overlay on top of the map. There are several different terrain tiles from trees, there's forts, there's towns, there's water, standard variety of terrain. We have dice. Each side gets 4 dice. You can roll a maximum of 6 at any time, so you may have to double roll a couple of them. But for the most part, these are the dice with 6 different, well, there you go. You know what a dice is. Then we have all of the units. I put these into this wonderful little box because I tend to like to organize my pieces so that it's easy to set up and I don't have to take a whole bag and try and differentiate the units. But you have your American units, your military units, your infantry, officers, special units, artillery, stands, and then of course certain designations. You've got your ports and your fords. Your Ford tokens, though I'm kind of a Chevy man myself. And then finally we have the manual, which is about 20 some odd pages. Yeah, 20 some odd pages. It includes the scenarios, so the actual rules are only the first third of the book. Nice glossy paper, covers the rules, lots of, there you go, you can see all the scenarios. Different terrain type explanations, unit explanations, etc. So there you go, basically standard stuff. So now we're going to get into an actual example of gameplay. We're going to do a little example of gameplay here. You'll see from the map board that we have our units and forces set up that matches the Brownstone, Michigan territory battle on August 5th. Everything's ready. Everything's rolling. Are we ready to go? Let's get the sun out of our eyes a little bit. How's that for glare? Alright, so the first step, whenever we're playing, and you notice we have our native warriors over there, and American forces here, all congregated in the forest. According to the lore, they were sent to escort back a herd of cattle, which would have made a nice barbecue. However, the native warriors had something to say about that. The victory conditions are 4 points to win. You earn a point by taking out any unit fully, any other unit, or the Americans can actually go and take over these towns. And if they take over these towns, controlling these towns is worth a victory point. So it looks a little bit skewed to the Americans, but who knows? There is native ambush rules, which means that the infantry are not allowed to attack until the natives first attack. So let's begin. In this scenario, the native warriors go first, and they have 3 units that they can move each turn. And so let's go. First thing, battle card. Battle card. Ooh, I can use this to cancel any card and keep it around. So if some other card comes up, then I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. For the Americans, I can ditch it. Alright, so we begin. First thing I'm going to do is move my native warriors into this forest. I want to guard their movements. Second, I'm going to move these guys into this forest. The native warriors have a lot of freedom of movement, even in harsh terrain. And third, native warriors, now they can move. What is my third? What is my third idea? Okay. So they can move 1 hex in battle, but there really isn't any, there's no range. The range is 2, and there's really not much they can do. So I'm going to go ahead and move these guys into the forest, and that'll do it for my first turn. Second turn, or second round, part of the turn is reform. And I can keep this until I'm ready to use it. It lets me reform units. And so basically, if I've got stragglers and they're adjacent, I can group them back up, which gives them a little more fighting control. I'm going to use countermand and say, nah, not going to happen. Alright, now I move 2 units. So the first thing I'm going to spot, because if I move down here, I'm going to be battling at a disadvantage, and I have to stop. I too am going to enter the forest. And second move, I'm going to try and, I'm going to move these guys up into the forest as well. Let's go ahead and do this. Nothing, can't do any attacking yet. So, alright, next. Now the Native Warriors go. Fixed bayonets. All regular units you order this turn may battle in hand-to-hand combat after moving 2 hexes and battle with an additional die. That's great, except Native Warriors aren't regular units. They're irregular units. They need more Geritol. Alright, so let us make our motion. I am actually going to, well, what the heck, let's give it a whirl. I am going to attack here to here. That is problematic. Okay, and this is how attacks work. I'm just going to show you how it works. The attack value is 7. The defense value is whatever is written on the defense value, which in this case is 4, except the officer. Yeah, no, it actually works. So, attack value, add these up and you have 7, 14, and 21. That's your attack value, 21. And defense is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So there is a 1 die difference. Except when you're battling into forest, you battle at 1 less die. However, the rules do say that you should be able to battle with at least 1 die, and I want to confirm that. Yes, all the pieces in. Yep. Okay. Additionally, unit can always throw at least 1 die in attack or in battling back, even if the difference is factors or negatives. So, you can always roll at least 1 die. So what the heck? Let's roll 1 die. Always. Ready? Ooh, wow. Take out the leader. Goodbye, officer. I'm sorry, officer. I wasn't speeding. Alright. He was gone. So we did do some damage there. But that means now that the Americans can fight back when the time comes. They're allowed to attack back now. So that's our first move. Our second is range of 2. You know what? We're going to shoot them again. We're going to use these. We're going to keep them there and have them battle in. 7, 14, 21 to 4, 8, 12, 16. 21 to 16 now. And so 21, 16, that's a difference of 5. They have 1 less die because they're battling into the forest. So now we have, oh my gosh. Well, they're not handy. If they were adjacent, that would be pretty devastating. Because that hand-to-hand combat thing is valid for when you're in an adjacency situation. Yeah, wow. That would have been devastating, but it's not, so they take a hit, so one of these is gone now. And that's that, and then finally, what the heck, we're going to do the same thing here. 21, 20, you can always roll at least, or do I want to? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just going to go ahead and move these guys into the forest so they're not vulnerable. Otherwise, that would be a pretty devastating counter move. And that's it. So now we're going to do the next. And this doesn't matter. These get discarded. Alright, finally. Hot shots. 1 infantry unit that you order may battle at a range of 3 hexes instead of 2. Okay then. Let's do it. I'm going to use these guys and they're just going to flat out attack. Line of sight is assured. So there's 5, 10, 15, 20, 23 to 21. No, 23 to 5, 10, 15. So there is a big differential there. That's, wow, 21, really? 5, 10, 15, 23 to 15. That's an 8 difference. Even if they battled down, it's a 7 difference. But I think the maximum is 6 anyway, right? So, alright. Weird. Alright, so this is what we've got. We've got a retreat, So I need to roll this. This isn't adjacent. So since I need to roll 2 more dice, we'll do that. That's 3 hits. So 1, 2, 3. It doesn't even matter. That's 3 hits. Goodbye, guys. It was nice knowing you. Wow. No need to retreat either. Well, and then I keep one of these pieces as a victory point to show that I have 1 of the 4 victory points needed to survive. That's interesting. Yeah, that's 1, 2. Wow, that's crazy. Alright, well, that's how it rolls. I do wonder if I'll have to ask the designer if you roll 1 less die, that makes it 5 dice instead of 6 or such, but in any event, that's that. Alright, so that's a sample of gameplay. Let's get to my final thoughts on Sabres and Smoke, the War of 1812. Okay, so my final thoughts on Sabres and Smoke, the War of 1812. I'm going to actually do this in the opposite order. Usually I go with what I like, what I don't like, and then a summary. I'm going to go with what I don't like because I would like to end on a positive note, because you're going to find in these things that I thought were probably maybe needed a little improvement. A lot of these are nitpicky at best, and I don't want that to be left in your mind at the end of the review. First off, the game is it's serviceable. I mean, many of the components are as serviceable as the Kickstarter funding level allowed it. If you're looking for glitz and fancy plastic miniatures and stuff, this isn't it. This isn't even what the focus is, I believe, on this. Doesn't even need to be there. But I would say that the one thing that I think this could stand to have is a little better manual. Not because it's a bad manual. In fact, it's very descriptive. It's not too long, too short. Nice glossy pages. Very much a describes the terrain in good detail, describes all the benefits and whatever. But there are missing gaps. There are things like, what are the retreat rules, or how do I, line of sight could probably been described a little bit better. These are natural probably for a designer or a group of designers that are just starting out with one of their first games. Give them a little pass on that one, because they're very receptive to answer questions on Facebook, Twitter, Board Game Geek, etc. I've been really happy with the rapidity of the response, both of the community of people playing it and the designer himself. So that's just something to say that in the future, maybe having the manual be sort of put out ahead of time so that some people who are interested can help proofread and help cover all the little details that sometimes get glossed over when you're in the middle of playtesting. Another small thing, I think it would have been nice to have maybe the officer chits. It would be cool to have a little like blue and red band or something at the top to differentiate them. Totally cosmetic. Just for my benefit to be able to go, okay, these are the 4 units, because I kept looking for which one was the officer, and I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if because all of your units are either 4 of the same or 3 of the same unit and then an officer. And it would have been cool to have had something like that. I could easily do that myself. Very nitpick, like I'm saying, most of the cons are very nitpick. The other thing would be cool, and one thing that some of the other games, Memoir 44 and others had that was advantageous, is when you actually describe the scenario in the book, it would have been nice to have had sort of the order in which to place the tiles on the map, because they're double-sided, which means that, oh, I built this river, oh, I put these forests here, oh crap, underneath one of these forests is a town, I don't have enough town tiles here, I must have used a forest tile. Memoir solved that by saying you put the towns first, and then you put this. Maybe it's mentioned there in the book, I don't know, but it would be nice to have an order of priorities so that, in Memoir, for example, I know that if I put things out in the exact order, I'm not going to have to go look around the map and flip tiles to go remember which one was the town that is underneath the tree. Another nitpick. Not a big deal, really. And the final thing, the only thing I would say that I really, really desperately need, and I think that I will do one of these myself, is a player aid, because the manual, well, it's great when you're playing with someone for the first time or whatever. If you're beyond the initial scenario that I showed you, trying to remember like the specialties of the units really screams for a player aid to be able to say, there you go. Oh, these are the warriors. What do they do again? Oh, they do this. Oh, and like on the front, the units, on the back, the terrain and stuff, and just kind of summarizing that would have been great. I'm going to do one of these myself. I'll see if I do it well enough to even feel good about contributing that to the community. But that's the one thing I found that I really desperately was looking for. We kept the manual over between the two of us, but we're flipping back and forth playing. that's it. That's really all of the cons that I have. You'll notice in cons, there's usually the, this is really bad, and there's the, it would be cool if. And all of my cons are, it would be cool ifs. So let that sink in. As far as the standard stuff, like I said, the components are, they're serviceable. You know, they do the job. And the artwork, in the same fashion, it does the job. I really, really love the cover. I love the top of the cover. Why did you only use the top third? I want, like, this is beautiful. I wish that this has gone all the way down and the game would be in the bottom. And it's just like, use this space, not this, like, beautiful, beautiful cover art at the top third. The other thing is, well, that's nothing. That's actually it for all of the mid-standard stuff. As far as the pros go, the game is smooth. It plays very well. It's real streamlined from a war game. You can teach it to people. They're just like, oh, I don't know, let's try it out. I like the summaries. I love the thematic attention to detail. It's very clear that a lot of research was put into this. And while I do hope for some of the other battles in the War of 1812 to be sort of eventually added on and such, I think it gives a sufficient level of battles, of crescendoing difficulty. As you go, and they really do. I think, you know, anyone who plays this game will think, oh, this is kind of like Memoir, if they played Memoir, or a Battle Cry, or Command and Colors kind of games and such. They'll be familiar with it, although there are differences. I mean, it's not the same. In fact, the battle resolution is very interesting, because in those games, generally, you fire out at your full strength no matter what. If you have 4 units, they fire out at the same strength as if you only have 2 units left. This is different. This one, when you start losing units, it becomes a big disadvantage to be able to kind of contend with. Like, if you start losing units, you're losing attacking power, and you're losing defending power, and that's pivotal. Matter of fact, I mean, there were times when I felt like the differential was such. I wonder how often you just end up shooting all 6 of the dice, or how often the dice are capped. As I play more, I'll figure that out, but it seems like there's a big differentiation with that. That's it. I mean, as far as summary goes, I would say that Sabres and Smoke, like I said, anyone who's a fan of Command and Colors, Memoir 44, Battle Cry, this is a familiar but not identical opportunity to really see that streamlined wargaming applied to, you know, lesser known but still interesting engagements. And I'm very, very much excited and looking forward to any future endeavors from this hand-to-hand entertainment. I think they're on a good vector, and I'd like to see that continue on, and I'm looking forward to more stuff from them. That's it for today. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.